Magnus, it's great to speak with you. One of the things that you mentioned during the panel, which I really thought was interesting, was the kind of hit or miss quality of movie tie-in games over the years. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Why do you think it is that so many of them have missed the mark, and what did you try to do differently with Frontiers of Pandora to kind of like honor the movie franchise?
So making, we didn't start out to make the best movie licensed game. We started out to make the best game ever. That's how, I think me and everyone that's a game maker, you start out to make the best game ever, right? And so I think that what you really need is that you need to understand what is it that makes a game great. And to me, why I am in gaming is the agency. It is there needs to be co-authorship between the game makers and their story that they want to tell, because there should be, I think, in a great game, especially action-adventure game, there should be a great story that the game makers made, great characters, plot twists, character development. But then there's the systems, there's the world, there's the simulation, and the things that you do as a gamer, and you move through the world, and that's the co-authorship of the experience. So really understanding all that and making sure that when we went to Pandora and we went to the world of Avatar, that we didn't lose any of that and get, and make a linear experience. That's why it has to be open world. It has to be about you getting to go to Pandora.
So the franchise in general seems to be so vast and have so much potential for expansion and other stories to be told. So what does a game like this offer in terms of building the ethos that was created with the movies?
So I think one of the advantages of games, and especially an open world game, is that there's this, you can get on the main roller coaster, which is sometimes how we describe the main campaign, with the big set pieces and everything. But in an open world game, there's also, hey, I want to get off the roller coaster. I want to go out into the periphery, see some people. Here's a camp. Who are these people? Okay, they're up to something. There's a new story. There's a side quest, and in that side quest, yes, there's gameplay, but there's also, when we talk about the clans of the Western Frontier, the new clans we've created that are not the same as in the movies. They have their own idiosyncrasies. They have their own, what do they live off? What are their struggles? How are they affected by the RDA corporation? And those stories is where we can go deep. That's where we can go, into the nuances of a people or of characters. So I think that's a huge important part of what we can do with a game like this that is unique to games.
The open world of the game is, I guess, almost like a character in itself. It's so vast and so big. And I've seen some comparisons online to other games, other series like Far Cry that have, or even Horizon, that have really vast natural environments. So what sets Frontiers of Pandora apart from other games like that?
So what we had with Pandora and the world of Avatar, and what we ran with from the very start, I think, is the fact that we are in a different star system, 4.5 light years away from Earth. We're on a different celestial body. You are 10 foot tall, or 3 meters, depending on where you are in the world. You have superhuman strength, superhuman hearing, superhuman smell, and you have the ability to connect and bond for life with a banshee and other. You can ride other animals as well. But the banshee really is, and then you can get on your banshee and fly up to floating mountains, right? And this otherworldly and this experience of not being a human, of being a native Navi, I think that, and that experience of that feeling that powerful, but also that lost on Pandora, I think that, because you're in another world, I think that is one of the, to me, that is adventure. That is like going somewhere and being surprised and seeing something for the first time. I think that sci-fi aspect combined with the the sort of the matinee epic thing, which in video games I think action adventure is really the genre that sort of encapsulates best. I think that's where we have something that to me feels, yeah, it's an adventure.
Speaking of the Banshee, the traversal seems to be another very impressive part of the game. There's a lot of verticality, there's the parkour system. What was the importance of perfecting that, and what were some of the biggest challenges in perfecting it?
It's a good question. Yeah, because there's really two traversal systems, which is what you said, right? There's the on foot, the feeling of being Navi, of jumping far, of falling, far, and sometimes falling and letting leaves catch you, or diving, into water, or grabbing things on the way, or heaving yourself up ledges. So the on foot experience, that feeling of parkour, as we, sometimes called fluidity, strength, agility, effortlessness, combined with the playground that is Pandora, because what we get, which we wouldn't have gotten in a terrestrial setting, is all these, and we call them zooplankton, which is basically planimals that have animal properties. And some of them, we built them together with the Lightstorm team. Hey, we have this need, it's too boring to climb up a ladder. Can't there be a plant that sort of retracts when it's touched? Oh yeah, and then we get this, what we call the lift animal, right? Like you grab it and you hoist it up really quickly, or you walk in a special big flower that expels gas and it sort of shoots you off like a jump pad. And we really used the otherworldly properties of Pandora to supercharge what was already a great traversal and movement system on foot. And then, of course, we have Banshee and flying and creating a very natural feeling, super intuitive how you fly, but also respecting that it is its own creature. It's not an aircraft. It's not something that you have to tell it exactly what to do. If you're on your way straight into a tree, it will avoid it. If you fly over water and it's hungry, it might catch a fish. You don't have full control over it. So I think that respecting the fact that it is a beast, while also, of course, letting you fly where you want, was a core challenge, because that's what you asked about, what's the difficulty. So, but yes, a lot of fun to do.
Getting a little bit more into the philosophical side of the game, we heard a little bit about the player character having a duality to them, part Navi but raised in a human facility. And duality seems to be a huge thing in the Avatar world, where you have like the nature versus industrial elements, and kind of like the duality to humanity as well. I guess the question I'd like to ask is, what does the story tell about us as people that we should be taking away from it?
There are many themes, and it's a good question. I think, and as John Landau said, there's this feeling of finding out where you belong, and there's also the feeling of conflict. But I think that, to me, and Shella, our narrative designers, talked about found family, right? And because when there's so much conflict and there's so much trauma that there is in real life, but also in our quite touching story that we have, or I'm trying to not get into details and spoil, but what happens is that there's these kids and they've gone through a very traumatic experience, and they come out and they're trying to find who they are. They're trying to find their footing in the world and to find out where they belong. And I think that feeling is an experience that, even if you were fortunate enough to not have a traumatic childhood, when you go through adolescence, there's a feeling of finding out where you belong. And I think that really, that part of it, and that duality of being, you were born something, but then now you were raised as something, and you become something, and they can be three very different things. I think that to me is one of the most relatable aspects of what we're doing.
Great. Just one last question. What was your favorite thing about working on the game? something that you enjoyed the most?
Oh, well, I think it was that there was no limits put on what we could bring to the table, what we could suggest to the masters of Avatar here at Lightstorm. And what I mean by that is, they wanted us to make the best game we could possibly make. They were super eager to expand and to allow us to expand the world of Avatar and Pandora with new regions, new clans, new everything. And never ever did we put something on the table where they said, don't ever do that, don't ever show that to us again, that's stupid, or like, we don't want anything like that. They were so open to any crazy thing that we wanted to bring, no matter how big, how outrageously strong or powerful. They were always like, okay, let's try to make it work. Let's find out how it can fit and be logical within the world of Avatar, and asking us the right questions, which is, what do you need for gameplay? What do you need for story? Instead of going into things that don't matter. So I think that was a great sense of, it felt liberating, and to never be, it was like a great brainstorming, right, where there's nobody, you can bring anything. That was the best part, I would say.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.